Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Sudabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Bhava Giri Varadhari Gopi Jana Bhava Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kuladihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kuladihari Jaya Vishnu Padma Jaya Bhakti Soldier Talking Brahmas Age Bhakti Swami Ki Iskan Father Charge Bhakti and Koti Vaishnava Ki Namajari Rasa Korki Term Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Git Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Ki Shri Mayapur Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Kuntara Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Nitai Korpuranandi All glories to His small devotees All glories to His small devotees All glories to His small devotees All glories to Shri Guru and Guru All glories to Shri Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayam Namaskritya Narayam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Naram Chaiva Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nasta Pareshu Bhadreshu Nasta Pareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti Bhakti Veshiki Bhakti Bhakti Veshiki Before saying the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the Supreme Unity, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance and classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is always completely destroyed, and living service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as irrevocable facts. Alright, Hare Krishna Bruce. Is there something going around that appears a lot of people are sick? Yeah. I was talking to Mother Tsunami yesterday and her voice was all like froggy. And then you're coughing.
Oh, not like that.
What?
So not like that.
Not like that. Oh, she's more sick. And then yeah. Is Chandrika sick too? Oh wow. So yeah, there's yeah. Okay. So today, for Bruce, we're doing Srimad Bhagavatam, text 44, chapter 22, Canto 4, Pratimarth's meeting with the four Kumaras. Pranadara Sutta Brahman, Grihashcha Saparishada, Rajyambala Mahikosha
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Grihasha Parichara
Grihastha Parita
Rajyambala Mahikosha
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Grihasha Parichara
Grihastha Parita
Rajyam Balamahikosha
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
T-shirts
Pranadara Sutta Brahman.
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Grihascha Saparichchada.
Grihastha Parita
Rajambalam Mahikosha.
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam.
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Pranadara Sutta Brahman.
Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Grihascha Saparichchara.
Grihastha Parita
Rajambala Mahikosha.
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam.
Iti Sarvam Niveditam Pranadara Sutta Brahman
Pranadara Sutta Brahman.
Grihastha Parichana
Grihascha Saparichchara.
Rajambala Mahikosha
Rajambala Mahikosha.
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Iti Sarvam Niveditam.
Sutta Brahman
Pranadara Sutta Brahman.
Grihascha Parichahataha
Grihastha Parichana
Rajambala Mahikosha
Rajambala Mahikosha
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Iti Sarvam Niveditam
Alright, word for word. Prana,
Prana.
life.
Life.
Dara,
Dara
wife.
Wife.
Sutaha,
Susha.
children.
Children.
Brahman,
Brahman
oh great Brahmana.
O great Brahmana.
Griha,
Griha
home.
Home
Cha,
Cha
also.
Also
Sa, with. Paricharaha,
Parishara
all paraphernalia.
All paraphernalia.
Rajam,
Rajam.
kingdom.
Kingdom.
Balam,
Balam
strength.
Strength.
Mahi,
Mahi
land.
Land
Kosha,
Kosha
treasury.
Treasury.
Iti,
Iti.
thus.
Thus.
Sarvam,
Sarvam.
everything.
Everything
Niveditam,
Niveditam.
offered.
Offered.
Translation. The king continued, therefore, my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. Please repeat. The king continued,
The king continued.
therefore, my dear Brahmanas,
Therefore, my dear Brahmanas.
which Brahmanas?
The king Brahmanas
for Kumaras.
Or Kumaras.
Oh
My life,
My
My
life,
life.
wife,
Wife.
children,
Children.
home,
Home.
furniture,
Furniture.
paraphernalia,
And household
and
paraphernalia.
household paraphernalia, sorry. My kingdom,
My kingdom
strength,
Strength.
land,
Land
and especially my treasury
Especially
Treasury.
are all offered unto you.
are all offered to you.
What does that mean? He's giving everything to them, yeah? Why would Prithu want to do this? I mean, wife, children, home, furniture, household paraphernalia, kingdom,
disassociate,
what?
to disassociate from material things.
To disassociate.
It doesn't belong to him anyway.
Doesn't belong to him anyway. What else? Alright. Prabhupada will bring this up in the words. In some readings, the word Daraha is not used, but the word used then is Raya, which means wealth. In India, there are still wealthy persons who are recognized by the state as Raya. A great king of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was called Ramananda Raya because he was the governor of Madras and very rich. Still, there are many holders of the title Raya. Raya Bahadur, Raya Chaudhuri, and so on. The Dara, or wife, is not permitted to be offered to the Brahmanas. Everything is offered to worthy persons who are able to accept charity. But nowhere is it found that one offers his wife. Therefore, in this case, the reading Rayaha is more accurate than Naraha. Also, since Prithu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras, the word Koshaha, treasury, need not be separately mentioned. Kings and emperors used to keep a private treasury, which was known as Ratna Banda. The Ratna Banda was a special treasury room which contained special jewelries, such as bangles, necklaces, and so on, which were presented to the king by the citizens. The jewelry was kept separate from the regular treasury house, where all the collected revenues were kept. Thus, Prithu Maharaj offered his stock of private jewelry to the lotus feet of the Kumaras. It has already been admitted that all the king's property belonged to the Brahmanas, and that Prithu Maharaj was simply using it for the welfare of the state. If it were actually the property of the Brahmanas, how could it be offered again to them? In this regard, Shripad Sridhar Swami has explained that this offering is just like a servant's offering of food to his master. The food already belongs to the master, but the master has purchased it. But the servant, by preparing food, makes it acceptable to the master and thus offers it to him. In this way, everything belonging to Prithu Maharaj was offered to the Kumaras. Shri Chaitanya Vishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swainam Vakidamaya Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutam Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Savichatam Sahagana Vagatam Gitam Dasajivam Sadvitam Savaditam Krishna Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakavitam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Madhu Jigapate Gopesha Gopakanta Radhikanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Harikre Pancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kriyaka Sindhu Devacha Latitana Bhagavyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this verse is really about charity and how charity is properly given. Whenever someone gives us something of value, it's natural that one wants to reciprocate. And if you ever meet someone or you know someone who you give a lot to, but they never really give anything back, you kind of notice after a certain amount of time. So in Vedic culture, the Brahmanas, they would offer their services. The Brahmanas had a duty to give transcendental knowledge to the citizens. So they would do this. The Brahmanas would also do yajnas, and they were the astrologers, the teachers. So out of everyone in the Varnashram society, the Brahmanas were the only ones who did not get a paycheck. Everything was donation-based. One of the things you see in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada would say that in Kali Yuga, everybody has gone to the level of Sudra. People can be elevated, but in Kali Yuga, people are more or less Sudras or below. Sudras get paychecks. So you see now everybody is working for paycheck. Even in temples. We're building a temple, give a donation. We'll put your name on a brick. Yeah. Or like, you'll see, sometimes when we have, every time we have Shivaratri festival, give this much money, and we'll give you Rudraksha necklace. So now we have to tell people what we'll give them in return for their donation. It's not just give a donation for this festival. Same thing with Janmashtami. Somebody has to have some gift, and the gift is advertised. And why is this? Because people, nowadays they give something, they want something in return. That is that's a symptom of the age of Kali Yuga. Now you'll see you want a yajna done. Yes, we'll do your yajna. Fixed donation, $250. Fixed donation, which basically means we're charging for it, but we don't want to call it that. So this is the situation of the world. And this is because nowadays if you have a brahmana and they offer something, people oftentimes if you tell them just give a donation, people want to give the smallest donation possible. One time my friend was out distributing books on the street. And she ran into a pimp on the street. And she thought, I'm going to try to give him a book. So she goes up and puts a Bhagavad Gita in his hand. And she starts preaching to him. And he's receptive. This character, he's very, you can tell he's in the lower modes due to his occupation. And she said, my dear sir, could you please give us a donation to help cover the cost of printing? Yeah, sure, I can give you something. Pulls into his pocket, has a wad of $100 bills. She said she had never seen so many $100 bills in one hand. He's looking through that, pulls out $1 and hands it to her. So, people oftentimes you ask just for a donation, they'll give you the smallest, sometimes smallest thing possible. Because in Kali Yuga, people don't often realize the value of transcendental knowledge. So Kirti Maharaj, he's showing the example. The four Kumaras, if we remember, because this has been quite a long chapter, they have been giving this transcendental knowledge, Kirti Maharaj and the citizens. And if we remember the question that Kirti Maharaj asked them was, how one can get free from this material entanglement. Persons are engaged in this material world, how they can get free. So the four Kumaras have been giving this transcendental knowledge for the past 40-something shlokas. And in exchange for this transcendental knowledge, Kirti Maharaj wants to offer something in return. So this is Vedic culture. When one gets transcendental knowledge, they offer something in return. This is called dakshin. So when Krishna and Balaram, they went to Mathura after being in Vrindavan for a very long time, they saw Vasudeva and Devaki again. And one of the sweet things that they say to Vasudeva and Devaki was, how can we ever repay our debt to you? Because they were showing that in this human life, we all actually have certain debts. And one of the debts is to the parents, because the parents give us a body by which we can perform devotional service. Or even it said, if you're in the karma kanda, a body which one can fulfill their desires. So Krishna and Balaram are pointing out, we have this debt, to our mother, Vasudeva and Devaki. And further, they teach the further example. Because after this, Vasudeva and Devaki, they initiate Krishna and Balaram, and they put Krishna and Balaram in the care of Sandipani Muni in the Gurukul. Now Krishna doesn't need all this, but he's doing this just to teach us the proper way of how to act in society, how to reciprocate. with our teachers who are our gurus who give us this, priceless knowledge. I mean, what could be more valuable? Somebody comes and they tell you the meaning of life, which is what everyone is searching after. So Krishna and Balaram were in the Gurukul. And have you guys read that chapter where it talks about everything Krishna and Balaram learned in the Gurukul? So I was reading over this when I was preparing for my class. And it actually shocked me how much Sanatana taught them. So I thought we would go over it a little bit, just to see everything that they learned in Gurukul. So, after hearing only once from their teacher, Krishna and Balaram learned all the arts and sciences. In 64 days and 64 nights, they learned all the necessary arts and sciences required in human society. So it only took them one day to learn each thing. So, Prabhupada was saying, first of all, they learned how to sing, how to compose songs, how to recognize different tunes. They learned the favorable and unfavorable accents and meters, how to sing different kinds of rhythms, melodies, how to follow them by beating the different kinds of drums. They learned how to dance to the rhythm of the melody and different songs. They learned how to write dramas. They learned various types of painting, from simple village arts up to the highest professional stage. They learned how to paint tilak on the face by making different kinds of dots on the foreheads and cheeks. They learned the art of making paintings on the floor with liquid paste of rice and flour. Such paintings are very popular at auspicious ceremonies. Maybe you guys have seen this in the crowd at different festivals. They learned how to make a resting place with flowers, how to decorate clothing and limbs with colorful paintings. They learned how to set valuable jewels and ornaments. They learned the art of bringing water pots. So water pots are filled with water, so they produce different tones. They learned how to decorate with flowers. This art of decorating can still be seen in various temples in Vrindavan during the summer. Krishna and Balaram learned the art of dressing hair in various styles and fixing a helmet in different positions on the head. They learned how to set up a theatrical stage, how to decorate dynamic actors with costumes and with flower ornaments over the ear, how to sprinkle sandalwood pulp and water to produce a nice fragrance. They also learned the art of performing magical feats. Within the magical field, there is an art called Vayarupi, by which a person dresses himself in such a way that when he approaches a friend, he cannot be recognized. Krishna and Balaram also learned how to make various syrups. They also learned different types of sewing and embroidery work, as well as how to manipulate thin threads for dancing puppets. They learned how to make and solve riddles. They learned the art of how even a dull student can very quickly learn the alphabet and read books. They learned how to rehearse and act out a drama. They learned the art of solving crossword puzzles, filling up the missing spaces and making complete words. They learned how to draw and read pictographic literature. Let's see. They learned the art of placing jewels on a gold and silver setting so that they looked very beautiful. They learned how to study soil and how to find minerals. They learned to study herbs, plants, and discover how they would act as medicine for different ailments. By studying the different species of plants, they learned how to crossbreed plants and trees and get different types of fruits. They learned how to train and engage rams and cocks in fighting for sport. They learned how to teach parrots to speak, to answer the questions of human beings. They learned practical psychology, how to influence another's mind. Thus introduce another to act according to one's desires. They learned how to wash and dye hair in different colors and curl it in different ways. They learned the art of telling what is written in someone's book without actually seeing it. They learned to tell what is contained in another's fist. Sometimes kids, they do, what's in the sand, what's in the sand? Krishna and Balaram learned how to speak and understand the languages of various countries. They learned the languages of human beings, birds, and other animals. They learned how to make carriages from airplanes from flowers. Let's see, and there's a lot of things. They learned the various omens. I'm skipping over the parts where Prabhupada goes into deep explanation because we don't have time to read all that. They also learned the art of questioning and answering by immediately composing poetry within the mind. They learned the science of action and reaction of physical combinations and permutations. They learn the art of a psychiatrist who can understand psychic movements of another person. They learn how to satisfy one's desires. Desires are very difficult to fulfill, but if one desires something which is unreasonable and can never be fulfilled, the desire can be subdued and satisfied, and that is art. By this art, one can also subdue sex impulses, which are when they are aroused, as they are even in brahmachari life. By this art, one can make even an enemy one's friend, or transfer the direct action of a physical element to other things. So, along with all this, so many things that Krishna and Balaram learned, they also learned all the Vedas and all the different trans sciences. So, in the end, Krishna and Balaram, being very grateful for everything they learned from their guru, they wanted to give something. Krishna said in this example. So he goes to his guru, this is obeisance. So what can I do for you? They're saying to Pani Muni. And he goes and he consults with his wife. And they decide that they want Krishna and Balaram to bring back their son who had drowned. And they realize that Krishna and Balaram are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so they can do this. So, Krishna and Balaram say yes. So they go to the ocean. And the demigod of the ocean, Brahma, tells them, the boy who is taken by this demon, Panchajanya, in the ocean. And so Krishna goes down to the ocean and kills this demon, but he doesn't find the son. And that's where Krishna gets his Kanksha, Panchajanya. And so then Krishna and Balaram go to Yamaraj. And when they go down to the abode of Yamaraj, Yamaraj pays his obeisances. Because he doesn't very often get to see Krishna and Balaram, because he's busy punishing the souls. And so he asks for the soul, so they get the soul from Yamaraj, and they go back to Sanapani Muni, and he gives it to his teacher. And then he says, after going through all that, can I do anything else for you? And the teacher therefore says, no, this is perfect. And then he blesses him, gives him his blessings that, everything they say will be ever fresh, and so forth and so forth. So Krishna and Prithu Maharaj, they're teaching this example of how to reciprocate when one gives us this transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is actually very priceless, because this knowledge it can solve all miseries in the material world. It gives us understanding. People often in life, they feel hopeless, they feel down, they feel depressed when things aren't going in a certain way that they want it to go. But just by taking shelter of this transcendental knowledge, one can find peace. So, just like it says in the Shri Upanishad, Isham Vasham Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatam Diga Jinatakena Bujitama Grihakashisiddhanam. Everything animate or inanimate is directly owned and controlled by the Lord. Everyone is getting their quota. So therefore, one should accept their quota and not covet, not go after what belongs to others, knowing to whom ultimately it belongs. So this knowledge, I can actually give one peace, because you understand that whatever I have in this material world, my possessions, my body, whatever, it ultimately belongs to Krishna. And so when you understand that something is not really yours, it's easier to give it up. Just like when you go to a hotel room, and it's very nice, and you sleep on the bed, and the room's nice and everything, but the next day you have to check out. You understand, you can't stay in this hotel room forever. There's some understanding there. So in the same way, the devotee understands that all the possessions that I ultimately have, I'm really just borrowing them, and they're meant to be for Krishna. So I'm trying to have this realization right now, because I'm having to eat this very bland food, which I really don't like, because I'm getting off this medication that I had for gastritis and so forth. I can't stay on it because it's too dangerous. So the doctor's telling me to wean off, but the thing is, when you wean off, because your body has been suppressing the stomach acid for so long, the acid therefore starts to produce in double and triple amount. So therefore it's like, just burning the stomach at first and coming up in the throat, and then you gotta wait a few weeks for it to calm down. And it gets worse at night when you're trying to sleep and so forth, and it makes eating difficult. So I'm having to eat, things that I really don't like to eat because prasadam is what got me to Krishna consciousness. So I'm sitting here and I'm eating things like plain chickpeas and wild rice and mung beans and simple vegetables and whatnot. And to be perfectly honest, because I'm not on the level of Prithu Maharaj and I'm not on the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I don't have complete understanding that my digestive system ultimately belongs to Krishna, I don't like this very much. And so if we're very honest, we can see, where our attachments lie within this material world. It's very easy when things are going well to say, yes, Krishna, whatever you want, I'll give you whatever you want, oh Gurudev, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But Maya has a way of entering Krishna consciousness, of showing us that one place that we're really attached. We all have that kind of like, you could call it like an Achilles heel. And you don't really realize it until it hits you. And you're like, oh my God, no, Krishna, don't demand this of me. You can sometimes go through that motion. I've talked to many friends who have been in difficult situations like this. And at first I thought, oh yeah, this charity thing, giving everything to Krishna because it doesn't belong to me. Yeah, it's so easy, I can do that. But actually, it's not always easy. You have to understand that, okay, whatever situation like you're in, you get in it due to your past reactions. But at the same time, whatever you have, is Krishna's. So if you have to give something up, you have to give it up. And ultimately, at the end of life, we have to give up everything anyway. But just imagine if somebody were to go into your house and they were, a nice brahmana, they give you transcendental knowledge, and you say, okay, my dear sage, what can I do for you? And they say, give me your deities, give me your books, give me and they take everything out of your room. How many people would be like, yes, take it? It'd be hard, wouldn't it? So, but Prithu Maharaj we see here, he's saying, my dear Brahma is my wife, children, home, furniture, household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and my treasury. I offer this all to you. So he's setting this example of giving everything. And we also see just how great these realized souls are. There's another story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which has a very nice purport, which I love. And it is in the 6th canto. And this is during the pastime when Indra offends his spiritual master, Brihaspati. And the demigods, they get in a bit of trouble because they no longer have the blessings of their spiritual master. And they're getting overtaken by the demons and so forth, calamities are falling upon them. And then they get, I guess it was Twasta, as their spiritual master, to do some yajnas for them, to help them. But on one side, he was giving offerings to the demigods, but also giving offerings to the demons. So Indra, seeing this, he chops off his head. So now Indra's in great trouble. So then later, I think it was the father of the Twasta, he creates this demon. And later they had to go and fight Brichasura. I'm paraphrasing the pastime. So to fight Brichasura, Indra has to get this thunderbolt. So he's told to go to the great Brahmana, Dasi, and ask for his bones to make this thunderbolt. So the demigods go to Dasi, and they basically say, give us your bones. They're saying, give up your life. And he responds like this. Alright, so the demigods are telling him, O exalted Brahma, pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to people in general. What can't such pious souls give for the benefit of others? They can give everything, including their bodies. So the demigods are telling him like this. And then they say, Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. And in this verse, Prabhupada makes the point that this verse, it says at the end of the book, let me find it. If one is advanced in knowledge, he must be prepared to sacrifice anything for a better cause. At the present moment, the entire world is in a dangerous position under the spell of a godless civilization. The Krishna consciousness movement needs many exalted learned persons who will sacrifice their lives to revive God consciousness throughout the world. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their lives for the great cause of reviving the God consciousness of human society. So the demigods here, they're asking for the bones of the Dasi. And of course, he voluntarily gives up his body so that they can have these bones. Being this Brahmin, he kind of understands one has to give up their body anyway at a certain time. So Prabhupada, in the same way, he's asking his followers, give me your bones for the spreading of this Krishna consciousness movement. So therefore, we can see that this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge, is so valuable to the human society that the Brahmanas risk everything to get this knowledge for others. So therefore, one who receives this knowledge, they want to reciprocate in kind. So therefore, the spiritual master, like Srila Prabhupada, he comes and he gives us everything, all this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, the chanting, the dancing, the prasadam, the transcendental knowledge, the higher knowledge, all these things Prabhupada has given us. And so in return, it's natural that one wants to reciprocate and give their very lives for spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. And many people have, all across the world, many people have dedicated their lives for book distribution, for preaching, for things like this. And this process of spreading Krishna consciousness is not just going out and doing books. It's not just doing harinams. But we can see, thanks to the internet, we're broadcasting so many things all over the world to help people awaken their Krishna consciousness. And so this is the actual desire of the Brahmanas. And this is what the four Kumaras are doing with Prithvi Maharaj and the citizens. They're wanting to get this transcendental knowledge. And they're not expecting anything in return. So the Bhagavad Gita talks about this. It talks about charity in the moods. So the Bhagavad Gita explains that charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with the desire for further results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be in the mode of passion. Charity giving out of duty, without expectation of return, at the proper time, the proper place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in the mode of goodness. So, Prithvi Maharaj, he's got the proper time, the proper place, the proper people, and he's not expecting the four Kumaras to really give him anything for him, giving them everything. So he doesn't want the credit, he doesn't want the clout, he doesn't want his name on some temple plaque, or to be posted all over social media as having given such a big donation. But he's wanting to reciprocate with these Brahmanas. He's wanting to give them this charity because he's so grateful for the transcendental knowledge that he has received. So, but oftentimes you see in the material world when charity is performed mostly in the mode of passion, or you see charity performed at an improper place, improper time to unworthy persons, without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So I used to, sometimes when I was in college, I used to think, oh, I'm a very nice person. When we go out to the bar, I'll buy you a drink. So I'm doing charity. So that's more charity in the mode of ignorance, improper time, improper place, improper person. So Prabhupada is making the example here that when we give charity, it must be given to the proper people. And when it's given to the proper people, what happens? They use that in turn to propagate Krishna consciousness fully. So then one gets even more benefits. And so we also see with Bali Maharaj, he gave everything ultimately to Vamanadev. And of course, even though this started off, because the demons, will kind of say, oh, I'm doing these great many things, I'm giving so much in charity. Even though Bali Maharaj was a little bit kind of puffed up, not really thinking in the beginning that all this belongs to Vishnu, still, he had this realization later, oh, this ultimately is all Christians. So let me give everything to him in return. So this is how the devotee thinks. And this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in one of his bhajans. Wife, children, home, whatever I have, I will take care of it and use it in your service. So this Krishna consciousness process, it gets us out of this I, me, and mine thinking. Either we get that way by, just making advancement, by doing our sadhana. We get that way kind of by force, or a combination of both. Because we have our different attachments, as I mentioned before. So as we go along in this purification process, Krishna is trying to show us more and more. Whatever you have, ultimately, it's not yours, it's mine. But the more we're attached to something, the more we think that it's ours, and in that situation we'll suffer. So Prithu Maharaj here, in this example of giving everything up to the Brahmanas and giving it very easily, because he has this consciousness that, this doesn't really belong to me, it is Krishna. So the more we can cultivate this this idea by hearing and by chanting, the more peaceful we'll be, the more happy we'll be. And that is actually real detachment. So, Vancha Kapa Trivya Shakripa Sindhiveda Chapati Guna Pavne Yoga. So, are there discussions on this matter? Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm very hungry, so he gave him, like some of his prashadam he was going to break his fast with, and then he's getting ready to eat what little bit he had left. And someone else came along and said, I'm hungry, and so he gave him the rest of it. He thought, I'll just break my fast with water, and then finally, then someone else, and they specified he was in like a Sudra came and said, I'm thirsty, and so he gave him the water. And so I was just thinking about, and then it ended up that it was Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma and I think Vishnu, right?
Yeah.
Who they were. And so I was thinking, gosh, if that ever happens to me, I really hope I pass that test. But at the same time, we have homeless people come here all the time and they're hungry or they're thirsty, and sometimes we turn them away. And so how do we know if we're giving charity in ignorance, or if we should, at what point does that, what point is that line drawn,
Yeah, so it's not like wrong to give to people like that, but in a situation because he was Devi, he was giving prashadam.
Yeah.
So when we do sometimes, I guess you could say we take the risk of giving charity, even if it's like to what we label basically an improper person, because we want to help them make advancement. So that's why, I know some people, they carry around prashadam with them, and when they run into homeless people, they'll give them their prashadam, so that they can take it and it'll help them. Although, some people demand money. But yeah, so we can give something, some water, some small prashadam or something like that. So the main thing is, you want to give them something that helps them. There's even a statement by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati where he didn't encourage his disciples. He didn't discourage his disciples from giving the beggars because he said it would make their heart not so hard. So there's also that. But at the same time, we want to kind of have some discrimination of what we're giving, to whom we're giving. whether or not it's really gonna benefit them. Cause I've heard it said, if you give them like $10 or something, and they go do something bad with it, then you're kind of entangled in that karma,
Yeah.
so.
I guess I just more specifically is wondering, because we turn people away.
Oh.
We don't give them prasad.
We don't get prasad.
I mean, this happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and that case, yeah, it's one of those situations here, and I know in Gainesville, to counteract that issue, whenever homeless people would come, we would give our leftover prasad in a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
So we would just tell them, you can go down to, I can't remember the name of the homeless shelter, and, you can go down at this time and you can get this. And of course, we had to be very careful because they didn't want the university campus to be overrun with, homeless people. So, we had to also be very careful, like in our dealings too. So that was a solution we came up with. So maybe, that's kind of a management thing, maybe there's a solution that we can come up with that, will benefit, people and, at the same time, so we're not just, turning people away, without giving them something to help their spiritual life, but that would probably require an institute.
Sure.
I'm not the simple president, so, but it is a very good point that you're bringing up. Yeah. Yes.
On that point, because we have a public, open to the public place here and a restaurant which serves our community, if too many derelict looking homeless persons were hanging around, we wouldn't get, certain customers just wouldn't come. They would think, oh, we're not gonna go to this restaurant because there's always these criminal looking people, hanging around there, so
Yeah.
that's a more important factor. Encouraging these people by giving them prasad. And there are places where they can get food, there are. I remember Tsunami had a list of those places. So, if we keep a list somewhere, somebody can inform the persons, but I think most of them already know. They're just, desperate, they don't wanna take the free bus down to wherever it is to get the food, or maybe they take it prasad at one time, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we have to keep the sanctity of this place and cleanliness and the image so that people with money will come here to purchase prasad, because that's how this place is maintained.
Yeah.
That's one of the big ways.
Yes, and also, we do food for life.
Yeah.
So we can tell people, you can come down to this church on such and such date, and we'll give you some food. I didn't know about the list.
Well, there was, I remember.
But yeah, it's also, like she was mentioning, it's a delicate balance because, as you probably know, like a lot of homeless people are dealing with mental illness, sometimes you don't know. Maybe they're on something, they could hurt somebody or, something like that, or get easily agitated, start a fight, whatever it might be, so. Yeah, we wanna have compassion and on these people, but also it has to be, and I guess a controlled way. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, that's actually one of my services that I was given, I just remember now, is to maintain a list to give to the homeless people. And I know firsthand that been to every single one of the feeding places here in Tucson, so.
Yeah, but I just find that you have to maintain a certain image, that was I was one of the things in Gainesville, I remember one time there was a controversy because, a homeless person, got turned away, like the person who was on the line, it didn't say the correct thing, and just told him no. And then some of the students saw it, and then they put on social media, the Hare Krishnas are turning down homeless people, da 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 da. And so also, but they didn't really understand the whole thing behind it, that, like, you can't, if you brought a whole block of homeless people into the Plaza de Americas, the university would be like, you guys can't do this.
Yeah.
So, same thing here, like she was mentioning, a whole group of homeless people came, we wouldn't be able to probably run our establishment the same way. But there are other things in the ways in which we could help that community. Yes, Prabhu?
I feel like I gotta mention this, we talked about it before, but just practically speaking, the kind of food that we have, a lot of times they can't eat it anyway. I've seen so many times they'll take some asylum from us and throw it down outside because it's spicy. People on drugs and alcohol, they can't handle the rich food, so if you give them something you think, oh, I'm gonna give this fella some samosa or something, it's the greatest thing, well, they can't eat it, so I've seen it happen a lot, so if you give them something, make it mild, a little rice or some water.
Yes. You had something else?
Is I want to change gears a little bit on this. So when the Brahmanas are only supposed to accept, they're not supposed to get a paycheck, right? They're only supposed to accept donation, but it's only supposed to be, from my understanding, only what they need.
Right.
Right, nothing overboard. Okay, so what happens to a Brahmana who then gets dementia and no longer can do transcendental service?
In a Vedic society, the children are maintained. I was just bringing up I was just making that point to show kind of how it was supposed to be in a Vedic society. That might not translate to Kali, because we're in Kali Yuga,
So being the international society
Yeah.
of Krishna consciousness, is our society based on that in the Varnashram system?
Well, probably one in the establishment of our ashram, we're not there yet. So, I mean, sometimes, we gotta do what we gotta do to survive. Yeah, so that's not easy to establish. But traditionally, I mean, it's just in like the Vedic culture, the Brahmanas didn't get a paycheck, so they couldn't be bought off, with anything.
No, I understand. I'm kind of looking at it within our society of Krishna consciousness, people who are about to expire, who've given all this service, and then they're being left with nothing.
Yeah,
And then there's, doesn't seem to be, because in the perfect system, just like we read all this stuff, like
Yeah.
Prithu, you're supposed to give everything and make sure that everybody in your society is taken care of, right?
right.
That comes first. That's
Well, they had a leader that would do that, pretty much. Now we don't have kings and things that will do that, so,
Look, I'm just talking about within our society,
yeah.
the international society of Krishna consciousness. I'm not talking about, if we want to be the example, I mean, if there's a situation where we can bring the system back a little bit better, and you think would be within the ISKCON system,
Right,
right? And so what I'm saying is that, from what I'm hearing and seeing, is that even within our society, there are people who have given their whole lives to the movement, and they're not being taken care of.
yeah, it's a
And
problem.
Well, and that,
One
so,
thing you need to remember is that although it appears externally that these people are not being taken care of, Prabhupada will take care of them. When they leave their body, there's no question of Prabhupada not giving them everything that they need. I've seen many devotees pass away, and so many of them share at their last moments that Prabhupada comes to them. And so, although, I mean, we don't know the background of another person. We don't even know our own previous lifetimes. We don't know what we owe to who, you know, or what we've done that needs to be erased or paid back or whatever. So a devotee, it's good for you as the person to be thinking that you wanna, see this made right. That's good. But let's, take it from me, the old person who's in that situation. We need to see that whatever it takes to get out and on to either the spiritual world or a position given by Srila Prabhupada to continue his preaching mission, then we don't care what we have to suffer for this. If we have to be neglected or whatever it is. And once we accept that, then immediately there's peace, and there's no happiness without peace. So you need to keep up your feeling about this and continue to speak about it, but the bottom line is each individual knows that whatever he has to go through, it's made by destiny, and ultimately, if he just remembers that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Srila Prabhupada is his direct representative, and I have that insurance policy. I remember one day in Dallas, we all lived together, the householders in a house, and a door-to-door insurance man came to knock at our door, and he was trying to sell insurance. And my god sister said to him with total conviction, "We already have insurance." And the man said, "Oh, really? With what company?" She said, "Eternal Life." And the man was like, "Whoa," and she gave him a book. But it's true. Maybe we don't have enough, we don't have anything anymore to get a nice house after we, retire, quote unquote, and go traveling and have vacations like materialistic people do. But we have something to look forward to when we have to take this body on.
That's a very good point. Yeah, but you're also making a good point for them. Also, we're a young society too. I mean, most devotees, they lived in temples, they didn't have jobs, and most of them, the children now aren't rich either, so it's difficult. Krishna Kumaran makes a very good point that Krishna is ultimately taking care of everyone, and sometimes we have to go through something to get that detachment off so we can go back to Godhead. Going back to Godhead is not just an easy process. It's not like, oh, I'm going to join Krishna consciousness, I'm just going to serve my whole life, and then I'm going to grow old, and there's going to be all these devotees around to help make me comfortable when I leave. It might not happen like that, because we might not, we might have to go through something to get purified. So, as I'm kind of realizing now, I've been in temple 12 years. Taking prasad, and now like Krishna, why can't I just go take whatever prasad and then just go do my service? Why do I have to spend all this time, why am I not getting good sleep at night? Things like that, So sometimes these things happen, but we have to take us to the next level. Good to Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Yay.